Hiyo! Hello there, engineering fam. Welcome to another episode of Elevated. I'm your host, the Elevated Engineer. All right, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Let me adjust my mic a little bit over here. Oh, yes. So I have been slow to actually address what's going on because I've been focused on so much other stuff. But recently, YouTube made an announcement, and of course, as you all are aware, they disabled the dislike counter. Now, why am I talking about this? Well, one, as the engineering fam knows, I'm an engineer, so this kind of stuff interests me. But two, I'm also part of what is known as the independent black media, so it's my job to talk about these things. So let's go ahead and get right into it. But first, go ahead and drop a like, share this video because it's gonna be very important. And subscribe if you dig what I'm saying. I'd appreciate it. Okay, so let's get into this article I got from The Verge. Really quick. Oh, we starting off slow today, ladies and gentlemen. We starting off slow today. Okay, you can all see that, correct? Yes. Okay, so I got this article from The Verge, and I'm just gonna kind of skim through it really quick, just because it kind of gives a background of the whole thing. This was put out on the 10th of November. Okay, so YouTube has announced that it'll be hiding public dislike counts on videos across its site starting today. And that was 2 weeks ago almost. The company says the change is to keep smaller creators from being targeted by dislike attacks or harassment and to promote respectful interactions between viewers and creators. Interesting. The dislike button will still be there, but it'll be for private feedback rather than public shaming. The move isn't out of the blue. In March, YouTube announced that it was experimenting with hiding the public dislike numbers. The individual creators have long had the ability to hide ratings on their videos, but the fact that the dislike counts will be disappearing for everyone gradually, according to YouTube, is a big deal. Viewers are used to being able to see the like to dislike ratio as soon as they click on a video. We've all been looking at it for years and years, and may use the number to decide whether to continue watching. Okay. I have never, in my opinion, I have never watched a video and seen the dislikes and said, I'm not going to watch that video. Since I've been watching YouTube and I only became a content creator a little over a year ago. So, okay, that's interesting. Now, that will no longer be an option, but it could close off a vector for harassment. Get how you get harassed, but okay, sure. YouTube says that when it tested hiding dislike numbers, people were less likely to use a button to attack the creator, commenting, I just came here to dislike. I've never done that ever. What seemingly less satisfying when you don't actually get to see the number go up. The behavior may still continue to some extent, though as creators will be able to see the dislike numbers for their own video in the YouTube studio. The company says the company says this still lets well-meaning viewers leave private feedback to content creators or use dislikes to tune the algorithm video recommendations. Other social networks have given users the option to hide rating metrics too. Instagram and Facebook famously let you hide like counts if you want to avoid the potential social pressure that comes with having your main measure of success on a platform shown to everyone. Okay, then why even have the likes there, you know? It's not exactly a perfect comparison. The number of likes your YouTube video gets will still be public if you leave public ratings on. And Instagram hasn't turned off likes site wide yet, but it shows a growing concern with what data creators have access to versus what data their audience have access to. Dislike counts going private could help hide an embarrassing piece of YouTube history. I'll touch on that in a minute. The most disliked video on the entire site is the company's own rewind from 2018, which I still have yet to see. The particular recap video sparked so much ire that YouTube recently announced that the annual rewind videos were canceled. There is also an argument that not being able to see public dislikes could lead to users watching a video that's not very good, an insincere apology perhaps, or informative looking content that ends up being an ad. Still, YouTube argument that it wants to protect smaller creators from dislike mobs or harassment is one that's hard to argue against. It's easy to imagine workarounds for some of the other ideas floated to combat that behavior, which included requiring extra info on why you were disliking the video or graying out the dislike button until you watch a certain amount of the video. Instead, people leaving dislikes will be doing so for the creator's eyes only, and screaming into the void just isn't the same as publicly booing. Okay. So, why is that so interesting? Because, okay, it's a few different things that are presented here. Okay, one, that the dislike button is a powerful indicator of that video, the video's quality or not, and it's also an indicator of the audience reception of that video. And it presents some interesting problems. Okay, first, I believe that this is not only is it an answer to the recent what's her name, Elizabeth Ho or Hogg, the lady who testified about Facebook to Congress and how it was, detrimental to young people, really. But it's also a way of controlling the narrative. And here's what I mean. Now, in case you all forgotten, a couple of years ago, and let's go ahead and pull that up. A couple of years ago, you remember this video? The Breakfast Club interview with Kamala Harris, and this is the video where she was speaking about the presidential run, supposedly legalizing marijuana, and of course criminal justice reform. None of which have happened since the Biden administration took office. But remember, if you remember, the amount of likes to dislike ratio was like ridiculous. It was like 60% dislikes to 30% likes. Now, if you go there, you can see in the screenshot, it has 9K. Excuse me. It has 9K likes, and you can't even see the dislike number. Now, I'm the elevated engineer. So I am able to see things that many people aren't, particularly dislikes. So, what do I mean? Remember this? Boom! You remember this video? Salute to Jason Black for covering this video. I'm glad he kept this up because this was like 2 years ago. I had to really dig deep to find this. But if you look at the dislikes It was 9,000, and this was like maybe a day or two after this whole video was posted, right? So you see the reception. Now, Kamala Harris, her poll numbers, and Joe Biden, I can't say Joe Biden without Kamala Harris, but recently her poll numbers came out and said that her poll numbers as vice president was lower than Dick Cheney's after he shot that guy. So I think on average it was like 28%. And Joe Biden's was like just over 40%. They're really low numbers. Like we I'm not gonna say we, but the American people really on both sides of the aisle do not like this administration at all, and they're showing it. But I wanted to show you this for a reason. Okay, 9,000 dislikes to 5.7K likes for the same video, right? Now, if you go to it, just says, oh, 9,000 people liked it. Oh, well, yeah, well, okay. So, why is this a little dangerous? One, it dissuades from political dissension. And two, I believe it discourages independent thought. Meaning that people are going to go to this video of the Breakfast Club that came out a couple of years ago, and they are going to say, oh, wow, people really did approve of Kamala Harris. Maybe they might not do it this year. They might not do it next year. But maybe when she's running in 2024, if Joe Biden's still alive or whatever, they're gonna look at that and they're gonna say, "Oh, well, look how many likes this video got." Now, this is the same video where she was talking about that BS about her like smoking weed to Tupac in like '89 or something like that, like '88. It was ridiculous. Like, and I remember this in particular because this was when I knew that this presidential administration was not going to be good. Now, to be honest, I even knew before that, but this one just kind of publicly showed that this was not going to be a public administration that, especially black folks, were going to be benefiting from, and that they were going to do and say, you know, whatever it takes for Kamala Harris, whatever she want to be that day is whatever she want to be. And we've seen it. We've seen it since. Again, they just ran a story a few days ago about, I think Joe Biden had a surgical colonoscopy or something like that, and it was like, yeah, for like 80 minutes, the first Asian president was the first Asian American president. Like, wait a second, I thought this chick was I thought she was black. Remember? Do y'all not remember that she announced her presidency over in Selma in like 2019 on the whatever the bridge was, the famous bridge at Martin Luther King Cross, and all them people, all them protesters. Marshall basically calling on to get the black vote. Now, a lot of y'all still voted for these type of people, but that's okay. Keep in mind, if I even pull up the video where Joe Biden tells Charlemagne that anybody who don't vote for him, then you ain't black or whatever like that. Now, I don't know if I'll be able to find that one is easy, but I remember this one specifically. But I'm sure people would probably have a lot of thumbs down, dislikes for that video as well. So I just think that YouTube making this decision not to show likes or dislikes rather is just another layer of control. And the reason I believe that is because, you know, whether people, you know, subscribe to it or not, likes and dislikes matter. I don't think it dissuades people from watching it, though. That's my thing. I think that people are still going to watch a video. Again, I've never in my life not watched a video because of the like and dislike ratio. Hell, if anything, if it got this many dislikes, I want to watch it just to see just to see how and why people are, disliking the video so much. I remember when this video with Breakfast Club came out, I watched the entire thing. And this was when this video came out, this was before it really went viral when I watched it. And even when I seen this video, I was rolling my eyes like, oh God, Kamala Harris, great. And I know how the Breakfast Club does their political interviews. It's a joke. Like it's a joke. They go harder at rappers and Lil Ma. What's her name? Is it Lil Ma or whatever? And then my lipstick popping girl. They'll go harder at her, make her cry, Charlemagne, than they will at people actually signing laws and policies that negatively affect everyone, black folks, everyone. So it's to me, I think it's a dangerous road we're going down. And for me, I believe that it's another prime example of why we need a decentralized media. I shouldn't say platform, I should say platforms. It's being plural because we can't just have one. But we need a decentralized platform to have our news that cannot be controlled by the powers that be. Mostly it's I'm not gonna say it's exclusively a Democratic Party, but it's left leaning corporations, if you really believe that are controlling a good chunk of the media. That's why there's no reason Tariq Nasheed shouldn't have 1 million followers. There's no reason Yvette Carnell shouldn't have 1 million followers. Now I have nothing against Kevin Samuels, but Kevin Samuels talks about relationships or what have you. What's really interesting is I can go to white platforms and they're not talking about fuck shit. They're talking about the stuff that's interesting. It could be a show. It could be a channel about physics. They'll have 2-3 million followers. It could be a show about engineering or math. I seen there's some chick, I forget her name, but she's a damn like funeral embalmer like lady. All she does is deal with dead people. She got like 3 million followers. Like it's interesting. I feel like black folks are the only people who need to talk about like nigga shit in order for your numbers to grow. I feel like black folks are the only ones who got to talk about the lower chakra stuff for your stuff to grow exponentially. Whether it's relationships or love or sex or whatever. And the people who are talking about the real stuff, they don't get to grow. It sounds like I'm hating, but I'm really not, because you look at my subscribers. My audience is so minuscule that I'm not even noticed. But I just think it's interesting that we can't just talk about I can't just talk about engineering stuff all the time because you niggas ain't gonna watch it. But a white boy can talk about engineering stuff all day, and people go watch it. He go get that stuff. So this is again reiterating just more evidence that we need to have our own media and our own decentralized media. So with that being said, next topic. So next we're going to talk about, I got a short little video, give you some background on it. It's a video about IBM, and their quantum computing interesting state of things. All right, so this is IBM's it's basically an update on IBM's quantum computing efficiency. So let's go ahead and get this started. And I'm going to be stopping it as this one goes as well. So
to companies such as Microsoft, Intel, and Nvidia. But there's one very risky and uncertain technology which IBM is banking on to be the future of computing and to some extent, even technology itself. They've been the leader among quantum computing companies for the past 3 years, with only unverified Chinese companies claiming to have beaten or at least matched them in performance. This week, IBM introduced the Eagle, a new 127-qubit processor, as well as blueprints for IBM Quantum System 2, Big Blue's next-generation quantum system. The announcement, made during the IBM Quantum Summit, emphasizes IBM's hardware advancements. IBM released its hardware and software roadmaps last year. IBM expects frictionless quantum computing to be available by 2025, enabling a wide range of applications that will outperform traditional computing. Welcome to today's episode of AI News. In this episode, I will show you what exactly this new quantum computer is, what its capabilities are, how they managed to surpass all these other tech titans, and finally, what this could mean for the field of computing and the company of IBM itself.
just really quick, I want people to really start looking up IBM. Look up Kiss Kit. Quiz is it Quiz Kit or Kiss Kit? I don't know, but it's a quantum computing uh, coding architecture, what have you. I did a video on a tutorial on setting it up, and look for a new update on that quantum computing and quantum computing programming tutorial update, likely in December. Let's keep going.
Quantum computing is a hot market, as seen by the rise in IonQ stock following agreements with Accenture and SoftBank. Honeywell Quantum and Cambridge Quantum will likely join forces and go public. IBM also expects quantum to become a significant component of its business as it develops the ecosystem. According to Bob Suter, Vice President of AI, Blockchain, and Quantum Solutions at IBM, Eagle represents a significant step in scaling quantum computing and is the company's first processor to hold more than 100 qubits. The Eagle serves as a reminder of where we are and that everything is on track. IBM has around 50 quantum systems deployed, including 2 installed outside of the United States. Eagle was built at IBM's own fabrication facilities, however Suter remarked that production numbers are low. For the time being, IBM is employing its CPUs on its own systems. According to IBM, Eagle makes use of novel approaches that allow control components to be placed on many physical layers while preserving qubits on a single layer.
Okay, so basically, for the layman's, basically they've come up with ways to stabilize qubits because, as we know, the decoherence in qubits is quite high. So yeah, I don't want people to get too intimidated by the math. Just focus on the end goal.
Because of the nature of qubits and how they all need to function together, building quantum computers is far more challenging. As a result of the Eagle 3D packaging architecture, there are more usable qubits available. Suter also stated that Eagle cannot be fully emulated on a traditional computer. They had to combine and improve on techniques developed in previous generations of IBM quantum processors to create a processor architecture that includes advanced 3D packaging techniques and that they are confident will form the backbone of processors up to and including their planned over 1000 qubit Condor processor. Eagle is built.
Basically, you can't emulate the quantum computer processor on a computer up to a certain amount of qubits. So you might be able to get, 4 or 8 qubits on your classical computer, if that. I was just, um, but you're going to need the hardware to be able to have what they call quantum supremacy, which right now the U.S. corporations and researchers are in direct competition with a lot of Chinese owned companies. So that's what he means by that.
On their heavy hexagonal qubit layout, first seen in our Falcon processor, in which qubits communicate with two or three neighbors as though they were positioned on the edges and corners of tessellated hexagons. This precise connection lowered the chance of errors caused by interactions between close qubits, resulting in significant gains in functional processor yield. Eagle will be made accessible to select IBM Quantum Network subscribers in December. IBM also demonstrated its Quantum System 2, which is intended to work with processors that have more than 1,000 qubits. IBM Quantum System 2 will be more modular, allowing several CPUs to be housed and cooled in a single system. Customers may
1,000 qubits is a lot, man. On one processor. That's a lot. That's a lot. Now, the beautiful thing about this is you can access IBM's quantum computer architecture remotely, which is what I showed you all in the Get on Code episode where we did our quantum computer using Anaconda Navigator. So basically, a little notebook in your browser. You can access their quantum computer, and to be able to access, you know, a quantum computer with 1,000 qubits, you're gonna be doing some powerful stuff, man.
alter and test elements of the Quantum System 2 architecture without impacting the complete arrangement. IBM's newest quantum machine will be operational at IBM Research in 2023. In December 2018, Google AI experts performed a computation on Google's greatest quantum processor. They were able to replicate the calculation on a standard laptop. The same test was again performed on an enhanced version of the quantum device in January. To recreate the outcome this time, they needed to utilize a powerful desktop computer. By February, there were no classical computers in the facility capable of simulating quantum counterparts. To accomplish so, the researchers had to request time on Google's massive server network. This vast advancement has given rise to Nevin's law, a new type of rule that describes how rapidly quantum computers outperform classical ones. The rule started as an internal observation before Nevin announced it at the Google Quantum Spring Symposium in May. He stated there that quantum computers are acquiring processing capacity relative to classical ones at a twofold exponential pace, a mind-bogglingly rapid rate. With double exponential growth, nothing appears to be happening, and then whoops, you're in a new planet. That's what we're dealing with here. According to Nevin, the double exponential pace at which quantum computers are gaining on classical ones is the consequence of two exponential variables combining. The first is that quantum computers have an inherent exponential advantage over classical computers. If a quantum circuit contains 4 quantum bits, for example, a classical circuit with 16 conventional bits is required to attain similar processing capability. Even if quantum technology never progressed, this would be true. The fast advancement of quantum computers is the source of the second exponential component. According to Nevin, Google's top quantum processors have lately improved at an exponential rate. This fast advancement has been fueled by a decrease in the error rate in quantum circuits. Nevin said that by lowering the mistake rate, the engineers were able to develop bigger quantum processors. If classical computers require exponentially more processing power to replicate quantum processors, and quantum processors get exponentially more powerful over time, the connection between quantum and classical machines becomes doubly exponential. This does not persuade everyone. For one thing, traditional computers aren't going away. Even though Moore's law
We're still going to need traditional classical computers, probably until forever. But what quantum computing does is, as he said, it's twofold exponential increase. Okay, That's a really high rate of increase of processing power. Um, this quantum computing is likely going, if it keeps progressing like this, it's going to blow Moore's law out of, which is what he's about to talk about. But it's about to blow. It's going to blow Moore's law out of the water. Moore's law is, for those who don't know, it's the progression of classical computers. And so for every 10 years, basically classical computing processing power increases exponentially from year to year as the size of the computing hardware shrinks from year to year. So that's what Moore's law is essentially. But quantum computing is going to blow that out because it will be increasing twofold, um, which is a power of two times two, I believe. So that's a lot.
May be coming to an end. Ordinary computer processors continue to advance. Furthermore, computer scientists are continuously developing more efficient algorithms to assist traditional computers in keeping up. The performance of an efficient quantum calculation that cannot be reproduced in any acceptable period of time on even the most powerful classical computer is a primary aim in the field of quantum computing, currently the Summit supercomputer at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. Google has been particularly public about its pursuit of this milestone, known as quantum supremacy, among the several research organizations creating quantum computers. Once a stable quantum computer is constructed, machine learning will speed exponentially, potentially cutting the time it takes to answer a problem from hundreds of thousands of years to seconds. Remember when IBM's Deep Blue computer beat chess champion Garry Kasparov in 1997? It gained a competitive advantage by analyzing 200 million possible movements per second. A quantum computer could calculate 1 trillion motions per second. Google announced publicly a few years ago that it would create a workable quantum computer within the next 5 years and that it would achieve quantum supremacy with a 50-qubit quantum computer. Top supercomputers can still do everything a 5 to 20 qubit quantum computer can, but they will be eclipsed by a machine with 50 qubits, which will achieve supremacy at that time. Shortly after that announcement, IBM stated that commercial quantum machines will be available to enterprises within a year. Chemical processes have a quantum aspect because they produce highly entangled quantum superposition states. However, fully evolved quantum computers would have no trouble analyzing even the most complicated procedures. Google has already dabbled in this area by replicating the energy of hydrogen molecules. This means more efficient goods, from solar cells to pharmaceutical treatments, and notably fertilizer manufacture. Given that fertilizer represents for 2% of world energy use, the implications for energy and the environment would be enormous. The difficulty of factoring huge numbers into primes now underpins the majority of internet
I don't, I don't know why they got this girl, painting this whatever shit and augmented reality. I don't know if that got to do anything. I think they're just doing it because it looks cool, but okay. Just not out. Whatever.
security. While this is now achievable by utilizing digital computers to look through every potential element, the enormous time required makes breaking the code costly and impracticable. Quantum computers can execute such factoring significantly more efficiently than digital computers, implying that such security approaches will be rendered obsolete in the near future. New cryptography methods are being developed, though it may take some time. In August 2015, the NSA began introducing a list of quantum-resistant cryptography methods that would withstand quantum computers, and in April 2016, the National Institute of Standards and Technology began a 4 to 6 year public evaluation process. Even while a true quantum computer is still a long way off, it is evident that the race has begun. So far, quantum supremacy has remained elusive, often appearing to be just around the corner, but never arriving. But, if Nevin's law is correct, it can't be far off. Nevin wouldn't disclose when the Google team expects to achieve quantum supremacy, but he did indicate it may happen soon. So, what is your opinion IBM's new path towards quantum supremacy and potentially regaining its crown in the world of computing? Do you think that quantum computing actually has any kind of potential, or are they investing into the wrong things? Please tell us your opinion in the comment section below. I would love to hear what you have to say about it.
All right, I'm gonna stop it right there. Okay. Okay. So, yeah. What are the implications of all this, man? What is it? Okay. So, there's a battle that's been raging for a few years now between, as I said earlier, vested interest in the U.S., China. But I mean, quantum computing could be all hype. It could be just bullshit. I don't think it. I don't think it is. I think it's gonna change the game on a lot of stuff. But especially when it comes to processing power, especially when it comes to look at Facebook coming out with Meta. You know, whether you agree with the metaverse or not is detrimental or not. You know, I don't know, but it's coming. You know, and the people that are going to benefit from it are the people who are going to understand it the best. And really, for Meta to really get out there, the metaverse, not just Facebook Meta, but the metaverse, you're gonna need the processing power for all that stuff. And I believe quantum computing will largely contribute to that processing power progression. But oh, by the way, before I say anything else, like so the quantum video I'm gonna be doing next month, it's basically going to be going over the basics of ding 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 Shor's algorithm. So as people, well, I hope my audience knows, but probably doesn't know Shor's algorithm. This guy Peter Shor, he's still alive, by the way. He has a very in-depth video on YouTube on how he came up with Shor's algorithm. But Shor's algorithm is basically just a algorithm that is a way of factoring prime numbers in the blink of an eye. So why do we need to factor these prime numbers? Okay, this goes back to cybersecurity, as the video was talking about cryptography. With quantum computing, you will be able to break traditional cryptologic algorithms at an exponentially, like I said, twofold. So likely at least squared times 2n level of speed that you can't do with classical computers. So basically, you're gonna be able to break into systems always thought of as unbreakable a lot faster, almost in a blink of an eye. They always do the, if you take any IT type courses or cybersecurity courses, they'll say there's like, trillions or quadrillions of IP addresses available. Well, so they can never be hacked, blah, blah, blah. Well, with quantum computing processing and the implications of that, instead of this taking, they do the math. They always say the math, it'll take 100 million years or something. You might be able to systematically attack every single IP address ever created or ever will have been created in a significantly, exponentially faster time, and it will increase in speed as you're breaking the encryptions, right? So that's why quantum computing is what it is. It represents a new way of of being able to process whole huge swaths of data. Now, in the video, they also said that it was 2015 that the NSA has been releasing these quantum cryptography algorithms. That's great. It really is. But most companies are not, because they're not even going to understand this shit. They're not going to understand this shit. What do I need to spend more money on a new cybersecurity algorithm for what? Is my stuff going to be protected? That's what people are going to ask. Well, the rate of attacks, major attacks on companies and organizations, foundations, whatever, FBI, and leaks, Sony, all these different companies. At one point, I remember about 10 years ago, you would have one major attack per year. Then it was like one major attack every 6 months. Then it was like one major attack every 3 months. It was like one major attack a month. Now it's like one major attack like a week on these huge companies or whoever, the FBI, the Democratic Party, which I don't really care about that, you know, the Republican Party, who cares? The point is the rates of attack are increasing because I believe currently the way we do cybersecurity now is obsolete, because when you are in cybersecurity, you'll find out that cybersecurity, ding, 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 is usually about 2 steps behind the hackers. So it doesn't really matter, you know? So I believe that with stuff like quantum computing, data science, and using these machine learning algorithms, AI is like, we'll see. I'm not really big on AI because I've seen too many movies, but but you know, we need to be able to address these attacks before they happen. And I believe that with quantum computing and the other stuff that I named, cybersecurity will finally be able to catch up to the hackers. And I think that's where we're at right now. So, bottom line is, with IBM's quantum computing battle, black folks, we're going to need more engineers, researchers. We're going to need people that can really understand how this emerging attack will affect our lives on an everyday basis. We cannot have our enemies have exclusive access to this tech. And of course, it presents new money. So, tying everything back together between the YouTube getting rid of this dislike counter and IBM's quantum computing race, the bottom line is we need to be able to have access to have our decentralized independent media, and we need to have access to black folks in particular, but really everyone. We need to have access and we need to understand these technologies apart from everyone else and how it's going to affect us on an everyday scale. So that's it for this episode of Elevated. Keep a lookout for that next quantum video coming up. It's all tested. You know, I'm just implementing it and doing an actual video and all that stuff, so it all works and every good thing, and I'll be going through it. But keep a lookout for it, and likely in December. Okay. I'll on another note, I've done a lot better about now not announcing stuff that's not already in the pipeline data engineering in the pipeline. So yeah, keep a lookout. So with that being said, engineering fam, thanks again. That's it.